Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of CroomTalk. Today I am here with Manny. We're going to do a little yearly recap, kind of new year, new me thing as well. So, Manny, how's it going?
It's going. First time being on the podcast. I'm always seeing it from a back view, always helping out with it, and hop on the couch. It's a different feel.
So, how's your year been?
It's definitely been a different year for me. I've definitely touched the camera much more than other years. It's definitely been a year of kind of figuring out time management and stuff with baseball and still with work and all that, but it's definitely been fun.
What were your expectations going into the year?
I think expectations was just definitely time management, trying to figure out like how to make everything work with, work and school and then still being able to play baseball and stuff. So I think that was my expectation, was just to, kind of get that into a science kind of. And I think I've gotten there for the most part. We still got some work to do, but we've definitely reached that goal.
What would you change out of that? Like, where did you find that wasn't successful?
I think where it wasn't successful was kind of pushing myself to a limit where like I would just like have to like shut down for a few days. So like knowing that I still had homework and I had practice, but I had to work that morning, so staying up till like 3 a.m. thinking that's normal to do homework, and then waking up the next day and your day's already finished. Like, you know what I mean? You're staying up till 3, 4 a.m., then waking up at 7 and rolling out to class, your day's already done because you're not 100%. So I've just kind of tried to fix going into each day at 100%, and being ready for the day.
What do you plan to do differently this year?
I think this year is just focus more on the distribution like aspect of everything, and just like putting my time in places where it should be put and putting my time into people where I should be putting time into them. Like just being able to say no almost.
Yeah, fair enough, because with being able to say no, that comes with the territory too, because you have to build a foundation in order to have that card to tell people no.
100%.
Because when you're on the come up and you're trying to grind and make something yourself, you kind of have to take what's given to you. Because you're building a name for yourself is extremely important, but sometimes you end up working for the wrong people, and that ends up taking you to a whole different direction and completely ruining it for yourself. And once you get established, then those people came around. You're like, I would tell them no if I could make a decision going backwards. But that's definitely a good perspective. Is there anything you are looking forward to, or any goals you have going forward?
I think goals for like this year is just kind of started off right with a good baseball season. It's always kind of been messy over at the Hawks Nest for me. So I think this year is just kind of lock in on that and, focus a little bit more and not let work take me away from, the true thing that I love and what I went to college for. So, enjoy one of my last baseball seasons and then just go into the summer and ready to work again.
Did it ever get to a point where it was just overwhelming trying to just do everything?
100%. There's been like a few times that like I've thought about just kind of like, listen, like I got to choose the camera, I got to choose a bat, like one of the two. And I've kind of just like pushed myself, and like definitely through working with you, like you kind of opened my eyes to still being able to do everything. So there's been a few like opportunities I've had to walk away from baseball and, go pursue something bigger than baseball. But that was my first love, and I'm excited that I'm going to be able to finish it out. We came in second last year, losing in the tournament, so it's fun. We got a fun team, and I found love in the sport again last year. So
what's after baseball?
After baseball for me is my plan right now is to try to stay in the baseball aspects of things. I know this like it hasn't really been touched before, but I kind of want to take content creation to baseball. And like you see guys like Trevor Bauer and King of Juco do it with like they got their own facility and stuff, and they're just pushing out baseball content like weekly. And I kind of want to bring something like that to New York State or somewhere in this area.
What is that going to be about?
I think just baseball, just like everything, just whether it's showing off a new product or just doing like baseball challenges, baseball created content, I think is kind of my main plan with it, while still being able to do sports coverage content. So whether it's football, anything, just kind of taking like a new look to content creation in sports from being like an athlete, not just filming sports players, like going out making a video or something, like actually, doing stuff and running around with that.
So you're a lot younger. I don't want to say a lot younger, but you're a lot younger than me. But has like, what was like was there any mental blocks for you that would really like limit you
100%. I think like obviously getting into it early with you, I mean, for those who don't know, Croom kind of put me on like at a young age. I think I was like 16 or something like that, and you kind of just hit me one day. It was at what was it, Dos Amigos Dose on the Lake.
Mm-hmm.
He just
For
hit
that
me.
podcast?
Yeah,
Okay.
hit me one day randomly. We had known each other for about like 2 or 3 months, and he was like, "Do you want to just come film a Bills podcast?" And I had never touched a camera before, and I got thrown right in. So I think starting young was great for me because you taught me so much that like now like I meet people that are in my grade and stuff and studying the same thing as me at school, and they're nowhere near where I am with this. They're just kind of starting to get where I was when I was 16. But the only thing with that was I was so young in rooms that I might have not been mentally prepared to be in. So I feel like there was a lot of opportunities left on the table for me because I was so young. And I thought, I still got time, which is true. I still have a ton of time. But it's just more of I could have capitalized on a lot of opportunities that I didn't because I was so young. And I also kind of trying to like force myself to grow up fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought I needed to do a lot of stuff. Like, I mean, I was out in Miami at like 18, like running around out there. Like I was probably too young to be in a lot of the situations I was put in. And it definitely took growing up like really fast to comprehend.
Yeah, that's one thing I speak a lot, and you obviously heard me speak on it with Darian. Is like I'm tough on you, but it's like it's tough love. Like I want to see you do so good. Like I almost want to see you do better more than you do, almost. So it's like as much as I can help you. Not saying my way is the right way in any way, shape, or form on anything that I do in life, but just knowing that I could break something down for you or maybe not saying you did something wrong, but you can if I can give you information to do something better, and like you being able to receive that without being offended is what's going to help you grow, because a lot of people, especially in like content game, it's such an ego driven thing too. Like people just think they're so much better than everybody else, and there's no lessons to learn. There's nothing you can learn from everybody because you just think like this is my way, I do it better than you. There's nothing you could possibly offer me. And I think you not having that, especially like I said, you being at such a young age, there's so much more room for growth. And you're like a sponge anyway, because we've been around so many other people who do content and stuff like that, and we obviously share the same passions and ask the same questions, and you know, we just learn together. Like I'm still learning too, and it's just like it's super cool to see you still sticking with it. Because even myself, like I've had so many things where I'm just like, I don't know if this shit's it. And I wasn't even your age when I started, so it's like you to already have that mental barrier, like we just spoke about, is going to be so much huge for you going forward.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited for the future, and obviously like having you kind of right there with me, like it's been like super dope. Like I mean, I've called you all over the like Miami and Arizona. Hey, what do you think I should do with this? What should I do here? And like just being able to kind of grow up with you there. Like I mean, we make jokes about it all the time. Like if I'm out at 3 in the morning, my mom calls me. She's like, "Who are you with?" I'm like, "Joe." She's like, "Oh, okay, you're
Yeah.
fine." Like it just keep rolling. So it's definitely been fun and a blessing to kind of have you in my life with everything. I mean, you're there for the baseball aspect, calling me after summer games, joking around with me and stuff. So it's definitely been fun. You definitely somehow figure out a way to bring like a comedic relief to everything, even when I've been going through some like shitty
Mm-hmm.
situations. Like you just find a way to make me laugh it off, and then we're out having a good time.
I mean, having a dark sense of humor and a sense of humor, I feel like is so undervalued in life.
So we got my intro. Going into you, Joe, like what are your aspirations for like the upcoming year, and what do you think went down in like this last year? Because to me, it's been another huge year for you, and you always say like your next shoot's your best shoot. Like I feel like this was a really good, if we're putting in terms of a shoot, this was a really good shoot for you this year. So like what happens next year for you?
I don't know, honestly. I feel like the way I'm ending the year, I'm very happy with. I mean, like from a bigger perspective, more simplistic perspective, like the checks get bigger with less work now, which is so much more beneficial. So it's like we can focus on like, and you've obviously been with me on those last couple shoots. So it's like you can focus so much more on a project rather than doing like little miscellaneous shoots and getting a little bit of money. Even though like I enjoy that, but it's still like like imagine being able to like work for more money an hour as opposed to not. Like obviously you're gonna want those bigger jobs. So those have actually been climbing in, and networking has probably been the best thing for me this year. The relationships that I've made this year have like this is probably my best year in networking for sure. And going into next year, I can already kind of tell the direction that it's gonna go. I just one thing I learned this year is to not count your chickens before they hatch. because there's been so many things, like you probably can see all the X's on the calendar of people fucking my shit up. So it's like, when you have all this work and things lined up, like, yeah, it looks great, but when that doesn't work out, you gotta be mentally prepared for that, because then once shit starts not to work out for you, and you start to shut down, and then your mentality changes, and your grind changes, and then it shows in your work. So I think kind of like controlling the controllables is definitely one of the things I'd like to be more strict to myself on going forward in this next year. Um, and I want to upgrade my equipment. I've been grinding the A7 III for probably 4 years now. I just want something different. Hopefully Santa blesses me. I think he will. But even like just doing this podcast, like I can't even do this podcast without you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I only have one camera, so I can't even do a podcast without a second camera. So that's such a huge thing. That'll be a huge thing for me as well. But from like the outside of the business aspect, this is probably the toughest year for me mentally ever. Like, and you guys have all been a part of my mental fucking roller coaster. John more than anybody. And the one thing I learned from that is to be where your fucking feet are, okay?
100%. Yeah, no, I mean, like, from, like, an outside perspective, like, seeing you this year, like, and I know I haven't told you this, but, like, this is the most locked in I've ever seen you. Like, you're going. Like, it's like a train, and it's just, like, moving. And I just, like, one question I got for you is, like, what changed this year from last year?
Just to not deal with people's bullshit. I guess, like, more or less, like, be able to tell people no. Like, like, you obviously, we have conversations, and there's people I used to work with, people I no longer work with. And I feel like not working with those people who think you're just like a subject and don't respect you and just think that like you're just there for them. Once you get rid of those people and you start enjoying your job, like I literally, this was a hobby for me. This was never supposed to be my job. And I've been self employed doing something I love for 7 years. So it's like, once you get rid of the people that make your job miserable and you start working with people who actually enjoy your company and what you have to offer, and just, you can be happy about it. Like, how many times like you send somebody pictures and they're just like, oh, thank you, and that's it. Then you have the people you send your pictures to, and they're like, these are the greatest things that I've ever seen. Like, you were so good with my kids. Like, and that's a win for me.
Yeah,
That's
that's the best feeling
that's
in the
what I
world,
want.
yeah.
So like getting more of those clients. Not even saying it's the client's fault. It's just like when I do that, when I do not get a good response from somebody, which I've honestly never had a bad response from anybody ever, knock on wood. Like, I've been absolutely 100% dialed. I've never had a complaint about anything I've ever done. But not getting like enjoyable feedback is it motivates you to almost be better. It's like, okay, what can I do to be better for them? Instead of just looking at it like I'm doing all I can. If you don't like it, you're ungrateful. That's not how you got to look at it. It's like, what can I do to be better for everybody? Like, and that's one thing that I think honestly had helped me so much with kids, is because working with kids with developmental differences over the last couple of years has definitely it changed my mental, which I talk about all the time. But like having patience, like I literally just did a photo shoot the other day, and they booked 2 more photo shoots with me while they were at the photo shoot with me for Christmas, because they're like, I don't know how you're so good with kids. Like, you're so patient. Because people come in here and they almost get anxiety, because it's like, kids are kids, and I understand it because I have a kid. Like, kids running around, like, obviously there's a lot of valuable shit here and stuff like that. I'm obviously, like, my valuable stuff is not in reach, but like, parents start freaking out when they're in here, because it's like, I hope my kid doesn't touch something or whatever. Like, kids rip my backdrops all the time. Someone did it today. You can see all the wrinkles and rips in it right now. And it's like, parents freak out. They're like, oh my God, I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's just paper. Everything's replaceable. Like, like just giving them that sense of like relief, where it's like, like, I got it. Like, we got it. Like, relax. Let's just have fun. Just let your kids be themselves. That's what, at least doing photos for children, that's what that's about. Like, everybody wants their kid to sit there and do these poses and smile, but it's like, if that's not your kid, you can't force that. Let your kid run around, let them throw shit. Like, that's what's real. And I feel like people value that so much. And that's one thing that I try to like keep very high in my arsenal when it comes to doing work, because it also shows more. And like we spoke on it earlier too, like one thing I definitely want to dial in more is like 90% of my photo shoots or any type of work I do is always a repeated client. And like a repeated client, especially like everybody who's been a client with me somehow becomes a friend of mine. So like there's so many shoots I go on where it's like, what's good, bro? You can you come and shoot, like blah blah, like on that type of level, because I've developed that relationship over so long. And it's like I feel like I have a tendency to just kind of like throw my shit on and just be with okay if I'm a little late because it's my people and I'm like wearing like jewelry or like just wearing like a graphic t-shirt and stuff, and I'm just chilling. It's like I want to be more of an example. Like it doesn't matter who I'm working with. I should always be professional. So it's like I told you, I took all my clothes to get all my logos put on it. So it's like I want to be, even if like I'm doing a photo shoot for my uncle, like I don't care. I want to be there looking like I'm a businessman, and I think that shows and reflects professionalism. And I feel like that's one thing I lack probably the most. So like going forward into this year, I just want to like really dial that in.
So I know we talked like you talked about it briefly, but like when you're coming up in the game, like obviously when we both started, I've heard you say it before, you've done like a ton of free work, like when you're just getting going, just because you want to get your name out there and kind of get in situations to show your work. At what point, like for maybe somebody who's just getting started, do you stop doing the free work? Because I feel like it's hard to kind of draw that line sometimes, especially when you come up with people that you were doing free work for and then you continue to work for them, maybe down the road.
I feel like one thing that I know I lacked in that perspective would be communication, because if you show that you're comfortable with doing shit for free, then that's going to be reciprocated. Like anybody, especially when you're doing things for free, and in a broad sense, I know what you're speaking about. You're speaking about working with professional athletes, because you look at it as an opportunity. So it's like if so and so hits you up, you're gonna drop everything you got going. It's almost like, hey, can you jump? And it's like, yeah, how high? Like instantly. Like, where do you need me to be? You're gonna drop everything. But you showing them that just shows that's you all the time. So it's like right now, if you got a text from somebody, it's like, hey, can you pull up to the house in like 40 minutes and take some pictures? And it's like, yeah, sure. But now that's like an every time thing. And when it becomes like, when there's so much longevity in it, which is going to happen because you're free work. You're also helping somebody market, which you probably don't understand either. It's like you're helping somebody else make money, and you're not getting paid for it. And then you start getting into situations, and I know you're dealing with them, you've dealt with them now, and you understand it. Is like when you need to get shit going in life, when like life happens, like you want to grow, you want to build, you want a house, you want a car, like shit costs money. And doing free photos isn't going to pay those bills. It's not going to, check those boxes for you. So it's like, communication will be a huge thing. Like I get to the point where it's like, hey, like just, like this isn't a hobby. Like this is what pays my bills. It puts the food on the table. Like just keeping it real with somebody about it. And I've never had it ever backfire where it's like, dude, I didn't know it was like that. Like what the fuck? But it's just like being able to communicate with that, because you're only fucking yourself over. Because they don't give a shit unless you make them give a shit. Some of them, but that's mostly what it is, and you're gonna deal with it a lot until you change that. Like even now, like I couldn't tell you last time I've done a free photo shoot, but I remember the exact time when I was completely done with it, because I remember I'm not gonna say it was for, but I remember I had to go out to Orchard Park to do it. Literally had no gas in my car, no money in my pocket. Car breaks down on the way home from being out there. Had to have somebody let me borrow $300 for a tow truck to get my car towed. So I'm already negative 300. Let alone I don't even have gas in my car. Let alone I don't even know why my car's not starting. Car goes back to the house. Car goes to the shop. $1,500 to fix the car. I don't have $1,500. I also don't have the 300 that I needed to get the car to the shit. But in that same time, I'm like, my anxiety's through the roof. I'm like, how am I going to get my car going? And I'm also getting a text on my phone like, yo, one of them pictures going to be ready. And it's like, that's when the balance was. It's like, you're only worried about you. and I'm only worried about you, and I'm not worried about myself. So I need to start taking care of myself. And that's when it's like, every time I look at it, I say it to be funny, but like it's real. Like oh, like yo, can you pay me today? And it's like, no. I was like, all right, I'll tell my daughter she can't eat today. Like if that's how you have to break it down. I mean, you're not gonna say that because obviously that's ignorant and you're trying to be professional. But
No, but that's real. That's real.
Yeah, but in reality, they don't give a fuck. They don't care about your pockets until you do. And like that's like I said, then you're getting to the point where you can start to tell people no. And that's one thing. I mean, you find it. Obviously, I know you're at that point right now, so you just got to know. As long you make sure that check clears.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I feel like it's super rare, but it's comforting to find somebody like in this game, like a client that understands that already. Like I've had a few in my life that have completely been able to, change my career as far as this. Like people that I've shot for that have like understood that like I'm a kid basically, and I'm still coming up, and I haven't even had to ask them to take care of me. You know what I mean? So it's just like when we're like we've been at a few shoots before, and we've haven't even left the shoots, and we already got the Venmo. Like that's a comfortable feeling. Like that makes you want to go back and work with that person. You know what I mean? That makes you want to get them the photos even quicker. Now it's like you already got the money. It's like, oh, let's go back to the studio and sit down for 2 hours and get them this because they care about us. You know what I mean? That's real.
That's why I don't understand how people work like that anyway. It's like, imagine going to dinner and just like, I'll send y'all the money in a couple of days. Like I did my work. Let alone people don't understand is your work for like photography and video, like your work's not over when you're done with the client.
100%. People do not get that.
Like, I'm here working, like, taking my pictures, but I also have to go and sit in front of a computer for 3 hours for your work as well. So it's like, you also need to be reciprocated for all that time too. Like that shoot we did, I got paid more for editing than I did shooting it.
And people don't realize that because everybody, they see it, especially once you get good at it, right? So I'm in a situation right now with like a lot of the jobs I'm doing, I'm sitting down with people right there and editing the photos because I'm going to be there longer. You know what I mean? As soon as I take a photo, let's say we got a long shoot, a whole day of shooting. I'm taking the first set of photos. I'm sitting down and editing them. So they'll kind of see like where I'm at with it, and they'll see me edit in 15 minutes. It took me 4 years to be able to edit 10 photos in 15 minutes. So they just think in their head, oh, that's easy. That's light work. He could push stuff out quick. So now they're like, they're not worried about like, oh, pay or anything. They're just like, oh, what he does is easy. When realistically, I sat down on a Saturday for 7 hours and made dumb presets, just sitting there messing around with stuff, and now I'm going in with those. Like, I'm not just going into, whatever PixArt and throwing a filter on it. And some people don't understand that.
But that can also hurt you, though. Because
that's a problem.
But you got to look at it as a two-way street, because you can look at it as somebody who don't give a shit and they're like, sick, I got my photos. Or you can look at it as like, this dude doesn't take his time. Like, this dude's not taking his time on my shit.
And I've kind of been able to read certain clients where I'm just like, I'm gonna just take this home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like certain people you almost don't want them to see. Like a lot of the athletes I work with, I won't let them see that. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? I'll just go back to the crib but I've had other clients that like enjoy seeing that. And they appreciate it. And those are the clients that like are usually the ones that'll invest in you and support your craft and are paying you on time.
Yeah. And that's very valuable. Like, because I even, like, sitting in the studio, I remember the day I invested everything. When I like, literally spent my last dollar to have is what I wanted in here. And I'm just like, damn, now I got to make the money. And I just remember, like, not having money, but, like, didn't want to do anything until I had my sign and my TV. That was, like, my studio is complete. So I got my sign, and I'm just like, damn, I just need my TV. And I just get a text from Poyer, and he's just like, yo, I don't know if I'm going to put this in there because I don't want it to be in there. But Poyer texted me. He's like, yo, congrats on the studio. I'm so proud of you. I just hit your Cash App. And I'm like, why?
I remember that. Yeah.
And he's like, just to help you out. Like, I know, like, shit costs money, and, like, I just want to see you succeed. Dude sent me fucking $1,500 for nothing. And I just remember sitting in my car in the parking lot here just crying because I'm like, it's dope to have people like that, but also to know, like, to think that, like, I'm just like, damn, now I'm like fight or flight with having to try to be successful right now.
100%.
And I still want to do more. And I just got like sent that to kind of like help me kind of continue to build still. And that was like probably the dopest thing ever. And that comes with building those relationships with people who understand it.
So if you could do one thing from like last year and like change it, I know everybody says I got no regrets, but if you could change one thing about last year, maybe a decision that you made or a shoot that you did, if you could do it differently or not do it at all, or where would you be at with that?
Are you speaking on photography or my life?
Everything. Whatever you want to get into.
I mean,
It's your show.
life, uh, absolutely. Even though there's lessons with it, the lessons aren't as valuable as. I'm not gonna talk about it.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm not gonna
that's
talk
fine.
about it, but I'll answer it from a business perspective. Um,
You want me to re-ask it in a
no,
business?
no, no. This is real shit. Um, I don't know. Not that I would change anything because I'm so set on things happening for a reason, but I would just change my passion. Not necessarily my passion, but there was a probably 4 month span where I was not myself at all. My head was in a whole different place, and it completely went into my job. It like took over my job to where my job wasn't my priority. Dealing with something outside of work completely had my attention, and that's when like anxiety started to be a big thing for me, and just dealing with things I never experienced in my life mentally, and that completely damaged my trajectory business wise for the year. And then after just changing the channel of my life and no longer having certain people a part of my life completely changed my game. And like I could say like probably the last 2 months have probably been the better months that I've had all year. And I'm glad that they exist because this year, you always think you're going to start a year like your new year, like this is going to be my year. And I swore that this year was. And based off of decisions I've made and people who, were a part of my life, and that just completely took me out of my business. And this year I want to stand on business.
Stand on business. Yeah, no, that's a big thing. There's a quote that I like. I was scrolling through IG yesterday because I'm weird. I try to stay off TikTok. So I think IG Reels is like my fix to that. Like I'm like, oh, I'm not on TikTok, but I'm on IG Reels. And there was something I seen though that was actually educational. It said, people always say like, don't bring work home, but nobody ever thinks in the sense of don't bring home to work. And sometimes I feel like a lot of us don't realize that, and we end up doing that. Like, let's say we had, gotten a argument with somebody in the family or something. Now we're going into work and we're pissed off. So you're going into work pissed off. You're already, going in 70% of, what you would give. And, especially in the setting that we work in, if you're not going in 100% to a shoot, something's going to be fucked up, right? So it's just like knowing that sometimes you got to, push back a shoot, or, maybe you got to reschedule, or sometimes you got to just go do something to clear your mind before a shoot. I feel like knowing that and doing that, once you get to that point, is like it's such an upgrade in your life, because it even shows, like, I would say, like, connecting it to sports, right? Like if I go to a game and like last year or 2 years ago, whatever, I went through like a ton of shit in my life. I was second guessing myself a lot because of some shit that happened. And for probably about 2 weeks, a game straight, 4 games a week, I'm going in the games already, I call it 70% out, right? I'm barely there. I'm just at the plate, standing there, just going through the motions. And I feel like a lot of us end up doing that without realizing it, because we're only thinking, don't bring work home. When really sometimes you got to think in the sense of don't bring home to work, because, like I said, that's 70%, man. Like everything you got to hit 100% head on.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's when you're your best.
That's one thing, like, that's where, like, be where your feet are has been it's my favorite quote. It'll always be my favorite quote because, I say it on probably every podcast, to be where your feet are, because that's, like, such a key thing to my life, you know? Like, right now we're doing a podcast and we're having a conversation. That's the only thing I'm worried about right now. I'm not worried about what I'm doing after this. I'm not worried about what happened before this. My feet are right here, and I need to be present and attentive and 100% where I'm at. And I feel like that has helped me kind of change the channel of my life to get through some mental things and stuff like that this year. And that's why like I'm so confident going into this year, that especially the way that this year's ending already, like business wise, it's like it's only up from here.
This year feels different. No, like I feel like I don't know. And obviously, like you spoke about your perspective going into the new year, and like I touched a little bit on mine, but just going into this new year, I don't know if it's like collectively, like as a group, we've all kind of made some changes in our life, but just like me and you specifically, and then like even a few people that surround us, I feel like we're going in as complete different people than who we went into last year, if that makes sense. And I feel like that's such a good thing to look at it from an outside perspective, because it shows that you kind of got the right people behind you, because you're all upgrading together, right? Like you don't want to, let's say we were going into this new year and me and you were straight, but you know, we had a dog who's still down in the trenches. It's just like, okay, all of us kind of looked at each other and said, you know, we all need to make some changes in our life, and we all did that, and now we're all, you know, kind of taking that next step. And I think that's super dope to view from an outside perspective.
Yeah, I feel like we have a very solid group. You know, God forbid our fucking group chat ever gets leaked.
Oh, we're fucked. Yeah, we're fucked.
But we have a very solid group. You know, we all know. I feel like we all fucking joke and fuck around and laugh every day, but you know, I'm definitely the ringleader
100%.
because I feel like I also feel like I try to do too much to keep us together, because as everybody gets older, like people drift apart, and it's obvious that that's happened to a lot of us. But you know, I'm doing whatever I can. We just tried to do 3 Friendsgivings in the last month just to be around each other, because trying to get everybody in the same room anymore is such a hard task. And I value that because I know how important it is to me. That's why I put so much energy towards trying to do those things no matter what. Like, we did 3 Friendsgivings just because 1 or 2 people couldn't make it to this one. And then the next ones, 2 other people couldn't make it. So it's just like, well, let's keep going until we can get everybody together, because that's what's
100%.
important. Like, you know, and obviously when we're together, we have the greatest of times. You can, like, literally, like, put us in an empty room and we still have the best time just because of our presence. And I value that a lot. And I also use that as a crutch for a lot of things. And I'm sure you do too. And it's just like, oh, well, I'm not feeling good today. Well, let me go put some dumb shit in the group chat, because this will at least make the next hour of my day at least fucking hilarious, you know?
100%. Like I find myself, even like when I'm in class, I got a Mac, so I could like text off the Mac, and I'll just be going through our group chat, just like not even paying attention to like what's going on, just dying because Chris threw a photo in there, and you know somebody else spun off of it, and then we just all end up. I feel like there's some points in the day where we all end up just sending random photos to the group chat, and we all just have like context with them, and like that's also like another thing, like just like surrounding yourself by positive people.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? We've never had a moment where the group chat's been like awkward, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, we've had awkward moments, but it's never been like, oh, like he said something. Like, it's always just been like, oh, Justin, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like something like that. And I feel like we've truly found our group, and like it's so fun. Like, I love everybody, and like obviously like I'm the young guy in the group, right? So it's just like I've got to kind of grow up with you guys, and it's crazy because like all of you guys, like in my life, it's like an uncle role. So it's just like I have the cool. Everybody talks about the cool uncle. Like I got 6 of them. Like we're going out, we're doing things, and then also like you mentioned it. Like when it's time to lock in, everybody locks the fuck in. Like if one of us go in the group chat and we're like, yo, we need help with this, or we need to do that, everybody's immediately like, yo, how can I help you? Oh, what can I do? What time to be there? You know what I mean? Like we truly have surrounded ourselves by a good group of people, and I think it's only going to be up from here because everybody's doing what they love, I would say, and everybody's growing.
Yeah. And that's important and very, very undervalued. It's just, even just like, I feel like reaching out to people, just checking in. Like, I've been checking in so much, especially with a lot of the guys when, like, the season, I mean, obviously it's going great right now, but, like, when it wasn't going good, and, you know, like, you can just tell by people's body language and, like, things ain't right. And that's why, like, I preach humanizing athletes so much, because the stress that they have to endure, especially when they're not doing too well, especially with, like, the terrible fans and, like, fantasy owners, and just, like, oh, you didn't fucking do this, you know, like, imagine looking at your phone and 90% of what's on your phone is somebody fucking threatening you in some way, shape, or form, and you don't even know them. You've never met them. You've never did anything to hurt them. They're just based off you being an athlete, and you know, maybe their favorite, you're playing for their favorite team and they didn't do good this week, so it's fuck you. But if you're winning, if you guys win, it's like go Bills. But if it's not, it's like you're such a piece of shit. Like, and I've seen DMs from a lot of very nasty people that call themselves fans to people who I call phenomenal friends, and it's just unfortunate. And I see it taking a toll on them, unfortunately, and it's just sad to that there's people like that. But not everybody's perfect. But like knowing, like, I reach out to the guys and just like just checking in, and how valued that is. Like, it's just a thing. Like, I recommend anybody, even if you're not like super tight with that person, just be like, hey, how's everything going? Like, and even though they're gonna give you the cliche, oh, everything's good, but like, are you sure? Like, not trying to force it out of you. Like, if something's going on, just keep it a buck with me so we can conversate. I want to pick you up. Like, and just keep being real with yourself too, because I feel like from a man's standpoint, I can't speak on a woman's standpoint because I don't know it. But like, egos are going to be the killer for men, because everybody's trying to be the tough guy. Everybody wants to be the hero. Like, of course I'm good. Like, sometimes, like, you can fight that ego and ride this wave of like, oh, I'm fine, until like you realize and you're having a self battle with yourself and you're fucking losing. And then you have that breakthrough where you actually like kind of break down to somebody or speak to somebody, and keeping it real with yourself, and like, okay, like, let me try to get myself out of here. And then you figure it out and you're like, I wasted so many years trying to be this fucking tough guy when all I needed to do was be real with myself and solve my own problems.
100%, it's real. And like back to like the ego thing, like I study something and I talk to my dog Red about it a lot. Shout out my dog Red. But like we've seen it in like from the outside perspective of sports, like working in sports, like with photography and stuff, and also playing sports. We call it the fake captain mentality. You got the guys like with the ego that they'll reach out and they'll be like, "Hey Joe, like how you doing, bro?" They don't really give a fuck sometimes. They just want to reach out just to, play the card of that. And I feel like when you have somebody in your life who truly gives a fuck, like I could tell when you text me, if I ever get hit with a how are you from you, I know it's real. Like, you know what I mean? Because I know the type of person you are, and I know if I hit you with a yo, I'm not good, I'm gonna get a phone call, and it's gonna be yo, where you at? You know what I mean? Let's talk about it. And like that's the thing that kills me, especially like playing sports right now, like being a college athlete, is like I see so many kids on our team, and I'm about to throw shade out there, but like I see a lot of kids like, yo, like trying to run this and do that and ask this person if they're okay, and it's just like then I get down to it, and I talk to like my biggest thing with especially being like a junior this year, COVID junior, and like I always just try to talk to the young kids, man, because I've been there before. Like I know how tough it is, and like I see like a lot of our kids are from like we have a few kids from like the inner city of Buffalo and stuff, and we got a kid from like Texas. Like you think he's comfortable out here, man? Like he's in Buffalo and he's from Texas, and he's also this African American kid and living in Hamburg now. So it's just like I try to reach out to kids like that, man, because it's dope to learn their stories and also help them get through this, because it's not just a transition. Like this kid, you got to think he was living with his parents, like a few months ago, and now he's just dropped off in Hamburg, eat on your own, figure it out. So it's just like I truly do care about those kids, but it kills me sometimes seeing the fake captain mentality of just like people out here kind of trying to play this friend role like they really care, when deep down, like, that person could give two shits what's going on. They just want you, because they might need a favor from you, they just want you to think that, they give a shit. So going into the new year, Joe Kroom, what's your number one goal? Or no, let's not do number one goal. Let's break it down from a 5-goal list of 5 things you want to make sure that you accomplish this new year.
Health. I'm very good at health. I mean, it's like a kind of walk in the park for me. I'm not even trying to be funny. I mean, I just honestly didn't give a shit. I just got so tired of it. But dial a few things back health-wise, which won't be hard, but just to be consistent and actually care would be number one priority, because with that comes longevity, and that's what's really important to me, which has slowly become important to me because I didn't really care about it before. But number two, be more present. Like family, my daughter, like today. Like I did so much for my daughter today, and I haven't had a day like that in a while. And it's just like, unfortunately, because when I do get like that one-on-one time with my daughter, it's usually me in front of a computer editing, and she's on her phone, and I can't stand that. And excuse me. And today, like we went to Dave and Buster's, and she just had the time of her life. Like walking in the parking lot, holding my hand, swinging her hands, like, and just going to have fun. Like that was super cool to kind of almost end the year on a day like that, and so much more to come from that, and I want to work less, and I also want to make more money. Sounds cliche, but with that has to come the value of work. 2024, the price has officially gone up, so does the work, so does the standard, so does the mentality. Being consistent, being who you say you are, and just fucking shining. I want to travel more. I want to do YouTube more. I want to vlog more. I want Manny to film me vlog more. YouTube, probably for sure. Like, I had the potential to do a very good vlog when I got credentials for the Bandits, and I did film it all, but not to the best of my ability, just because of the opportunity that presented itself for me. I didn't want to do anything to jeopardize it or take away from me doing that, because I'd hate to. I did a phenomenal job shooting the Bandits game, but I'd hate to not be able to do a phenomenal job shooting the Bandits game because I'm so worried about filming a vlog. So, but like being able to do dope shit and share it with the people who put me in a position to do dope shit is one thing that I'm trying to do. Like, especially that was such a huge thing because I've been grinding for that shit for so long. And to actually be able to do it, like the amount of love I got, and I didn't even announce that I did it. I mean, like you people seen what I was doing on Snapchat, but still, like the love I got was like, just like that's what it's all about for me. Like, I'm not saying I made it because I feel like this is just day one now. Like, how can you get better now? And just staying on that mindset. Like, I want like literally like even this podcast setup. Like, you've never seen the podcast setup before, but the things that I've invested into for the last month just for this to even be better. And it's just like I just want to keep getting better. Unfortunately that costs a lot of money, but I'm willing to put the work in because the product is going to speak for itself. And not just speaking on a podcast perspective, but that is a huge thing too, because yes, I do this for fun, but I just want to use my platform and make it as big as I can and share this stuff with the world. As I want to dial in on that. I mean, I don't know how many that was. It had to be 4, right? Probably 4. It might have been 5.
I want to hear one more because it sounds like you got one cooking in there.
I want to drink less. I feel like we've gotten such, not like we as people, just speaking out loud is like I feel like we have gotten into such a habit where it's just like just because you don't have work, it's a reason to drink. And when I was younger, I used to have a philosophy. It's like, like you would see people drinking all the time. It's like, well, what are you celebrating? Like
That's
what
a
did
fact,
like
yeah.
what did you do? Like what accomplishment did you make that you're celebrating? I mean, it might sound like a little harsh, but like more or less like I wanna drink when I'm celebrating. So I wanna celebrate success. I wanna celebrate wins. Like there's no reason like I should be at Doc Sullivan's on a Friday because I had a bad day. Like why am I doing that to myself? And I'm doing the same thing tomorrow on a Saturday. Like what did I do? Like that's I don't know. I'm not saying I have a drinking problem in any way, shape, or form, because I don't. But just having a comfortable tendency to just feel like it's okay to just drink all the time. Like, for what? And it's just like financially, like I'm so generous when I go out. Like everybody I go out with, I buy drinks. I always tip very well. It's like I'm spending so much money, and like for what? What does it have to show for me? Like, and I'm in there like if I'm not celebrating something, obviously like I'm not working good. I'm not making good money, but I'm sure spending it like I am. So it's like just trying to find the value in that, and and just being real with myself. Like that's the goal.
No, 100%. I love what you said there with the what are we celebrating? Because I think me and you had this talk before, probably about a year back, and I talked to it with my boy a little bit, but I found myself kind of in a place last year or 2 years ago, just kind of doing shit just to do it because I had nothing else to do and I wanted to get my mind off what my current situation was. Whether that was drinking or going to the bar or riding around or doing some stupid shit I really shouldn't have been doing. And I sat down with my boy, and he kind of said the same thing. He just looked at me and he said, "What are we celebrating?" You know what I mean? We're running out to Chippewa. We're sitting there, and it almost becomes an out of body experience where like you're doing it so often that it almost feels like you're that guy in the corner watching yourself do it, and truly realizing that like it's almost like a humbling feeling of realizing like I got nothing to celebrate right now. Like why am I doing this? Because then when you do something and you get to celebrate it, it's so much more of a dope feeling. Whether let's say I go out Friday night and then Saturday some good shit happens to me, but I don't feel like going out because I went out Friday night for no reason. You know what I mean? That's why when I've spaced out, doing things like that, and it's also just made me enjoy time with my friends more. Like when we do things, like we're doing things that are mindful and not mindless.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like we're sitting at the crib playing games and stuff. We're chilling. We're trying pizzas. We talk about going bowling and stuff like that.
Well, that's why like I made it a thing. I put in the group chat just off of previous things that had happened. Like we don't need to drink to hang out. We don't need to go out to hang out. And that's one thing obviously I've been like trying to dial in with everybody. But it's unfortunate because there's a lot of the kids in the group who they only want to go out or they only want to hang out when we're going out. They don't want to go. They don't want to come play games or go bowling or darts or go play pool or just go to dinner. But if we're going out to the bar,
they're there.
I'll meet you there.
So it's definitely different, like with me and you, because like I can remember nights, probably 1,000 nights off the top of my head, just of me and you sitting here till 3 a.m. just messing around with the cameras or something, or doing a shoot, or just messing around on the laptops, watching Peter McKinnon for 3 hours. You know what I mean? So it's just like I feel like it's also how you form the relationship, right? Like it's hard when you meet somebody out to take that relationship and build it out of going out. But with you, it's just always been natural of just like, yo, you just want to come chill.
Yeah.
And like we've always been able to have that, or it's we've done some wild shit that's not even related to drinking. Like, you know what I mean? Like we've just done shit just to do it. Like whether it's fishing at 3 a.m. out on Lake Erie, or hey, I used to get texts from you in the summer like, you want to go to Tift? And it's like 1:30, and I'm like, there's nothing else I'd rather do right now than, walk over to Tift and just go fish for 6 hours till the sun comes up. And you know what? There were plenty of times, and I'll say this, and I would never admit this, but I'll admit it today. This will be my breakout moment. I didn't catch any fish. And we were out at like 3:30 in the morning buzzing. But guess what? We had a great time, and the conversations we had, I'll remember for a lifetime. And I feel like it's more about that stuff than.
I feel like one thing that I've always valued, even though like I haven't had many people being on the same page from a friendship standpoint, but like, even since I was a kid, like I feel like having a friend that is willing to just be bored with you is so 100%. Undervalued, bro. Like I almost look at that as being as valuable, most valuable thing in life. You may not have experienced it yet, or like have to embrace it enough to understand it. The most valuable thing that I find in life is having that person you can complain to. Like when just shit just goes wrong, you can just be like, this motherfucker cut me off. Or like, just being able to bitch to somebody is the most valuable thing in life.
And I feel like we've had conversations like that where I'll call you on the phone and we'll be talking about some like decently important shit,
Yeah.
like with work or something, and you'll be like, this motherfucker just cut me off, and he was going about 60 and a 30, and I'm just like, you know what? I don't even know what happened. I'm just like, yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah,
you know what
right.
I mean? Fuck that black pickup truck. Like,
Yeah, and going back, have been fishing my whole entire life. And I've been fishing every day since, well, not every day. What the fuck am I talking about? I've been fishing probably since 17 years old. I'm 29 now. And there hasn't been a time I've gone fishing and I did not catch a fish.
I can say I've broken that barrier.
Oh, we know.
So, like, back to the fishing thing, it's like, you kind of put me on to fishing, too. Like, I was there, like, I had the pole, you know, Uncle buys you the pole for Christmas. You go and cast it a few times.
Remember that pike you never landed at Tift when it was just wrapped up in that shit?
That was tough. That was a good catch. We didn't get it out, but it was
It happened.
We seen it.
It was a story.
Yeah, it was a story.
We could talk about it on a podcast.
We could talk about it. So, me and Joe, I mean, it had to be 1:30, right? It was late.
Was that, I don't, was that the day it was just pouring rain, though?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we both knew it was going to pour. I don't think either of us dressed, like, actually appropriately for that night. So
no, we did.
I didn't. I never
I might be thinking of a different day.
I remember it being decently nice out, but it was raining for sure.
Because I love fishing in the rain. That's my favorite thing.
Yeah. But so we're fishing, and it's another night where Manny hasn't caught shit. Joe's on about like 5 bass at this point. So I'm casting so angry. Like, I'm just throwing this fucking, what was I using? Was it a jig?
It was the root beer tube jig.
Yeah, it was a root beer tube jig, and I'm just casting, like, aggressively. And I remember hitting the water and not feeling anything. Like, it kind of felt like my jig was still floating. And then all of a sudden, it just felt like a violent shake. Like, it wasn't swimming away, but it was just shaking. So I start reeling in, and I'm screaming at Joe. I'm like, I have the bass of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, get the camera out. This is about to be crazy. We get this thing in, and I snag this pike to the point where it wrapped around it.
No, it wasn't snagged. It was just wrapped around it.
Yeah, it wrapped around its gill plate, I remember, and it was, like, through it or something. And me and Joe are sitting there, and we're just like, fuck. Like, what do we do now? Like, we're not.
I just remember, I knew it was a big fish, and I just remember, like, we didn't know what it was, and then it just, like, fucking tailed out the water. I was like, holy shit. And then I just remember, like, you seen it too, and you're like, holy, that's when you really started trying to reel in, and then it's just, you're like, dude, it got off. And we're just like, fuck.
Yeah, that was wild. I mean, it was decently sized.
You're the first person I called when I caught my 2 biggest bass.
Yeah, I remember getting
that
those.
bass at Tift, I called you.
I've had some wild FaceTime calls with you, man. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to, that's already been spoken about on the podcast, but for those who don't know, I think it was spoken about. For those who don't know, throwback on the pod, when Chris went missing, I was out on Chippewa that night with my team, and I remember I'm middle of venue, and I get a FaceTime call from Joe, and I didn't answer the first one because I was like, I'm out, he's not going to be able to hear me, but then he calls me back, so I'm like, okay, obviously something's wrong. So I step outside, and, like, he's just like, yeah, Chris is gone. And I remember just, like, my initial idea, I'm just like, I'm leaving right now, where can I get a flight? Like, we got to find him. Like, that, it was scary. It was truly, like, scary as all hell. Like, I remember calling my mom. And I was just like, I just want to go home. Like, Chris is gone. Like,
yeah.
We didn't know what was going on. For those who don't know, Joe is a very skilled fisherman. Like, knows his shit, can go out and get on the fish. So, like, me personally, I wouldn't mind seeing more fishing content from you. Is there anything you have planned out for the future as far as, like, maybe some fishing content to show a different side of things?
I'll be behind the camera for something I have coming up. So I'm actually linking up with Justin Warner, who's a fishing guide out of Buffalo. We actually did a little content with Gabe Davis and Jake Kumaro that never seen the light of day. I will put some of it in here, though, because we didn't do anything with it, but it's super good content. It was a series we were going to do with Gabe Davis. I'm sure we'll run it back. It was just kind of not the time to do it, so we kind of put the brakes on a little bit for it. But it was a good series. I'd like to do fishing content. It's just, even vlogging, like, I am so passionate about being where my feet are and being in the moment, and I think it's so hard, and I realize it every time I think I want to vlog. It's just like, I just want to enjoy the moment and be where I'm at, and then just enjoy my space, and in those moments, and it's like, trying to do that and pick up a camera is just not in the cards. Like, even going to Nashville, like, probably one of my favorite vlogs I've ever done. We went to Nashville for Luke Combs in April. I vlogged the shit out of that. And the only thing that made the vlog or that I even filmed was just me getting down there. Because as soon as I got there, I was just trying to have a good time with my friends, which is exactly what I did. And the last thing I wanted to do was pick up the camera and like document everything. I just wanted to be present. I didn't even like even at the concert. Like I literally have 4 videos in my phone from the concert, and it's literally of like the same song. And like the whole concert, I just wanted to enjoy it, and that's exactly what I did. And like fishing is probably the most therapeutic thing for me that I can do besides golf. And trying to have a therapeutic moment and fish is hard to do when you're talking to a piece of glass, you know? I'd love to, but it's just like if I had a videographer, it'd be a lot different. But it's just like there's such a balance with that because it's like what do you want in return? Like I don't care about, you know, making money on content. I don't care about that at all because that's just I don't want to say logical, but that's just not what I'm doing it for. I'm not trying to have all these followers or subscribers and do that. Like yeah, that'd be great. That comes with it over time, but just to share it, like just to share because I feel like I live a very unique life and just being able to share that would be cool, but it's hard when you're trying to just be that person and try to just document it yourself is just not fun. But it's also like you're not gonna make money from it. But if you want it done, you have to spend money for it, and that's the balance for me. It's like I'm not gonna hire a camera guy. I'll never hire a camera guy. Like even my own photo shoots, I take my own pictures. Like I literally have a black stool right here that I put where I'm gonna stand. Focus point my camera, 10-second timer, run, move the stool, stand in my spot, and take my picture. Like, I mean, I'm just not going to spend thousands and thousands of dollars for somebody to videotape me. Like, I understand, like, where people would do that to make sense, but it's like, I'm not trying to make money off of it. It'll just be an investment that I don't see the value in right now. Like there's some things where like yeah, we can easily film it on a phone and stuff like that, but trying to like mic yourself up and have a camera and stuff like that, it's just not logical for the life I live. At least right now. I'm not trying to like, throw it under the carpet because I enjoy doing it when it's mutual and it's easier to film it. Like filming golf content's super cool when it's just not all on you. But, those opportunities come so slim. But it'd be cool to really get back into that space. Like I do have actually a super dope fishing video, but I probably won't post it. The one from fishing the pond.
Yeah, that was a crazy FaceTime call too. That was
That's
nuts.
actually in the video too.
Really, no shit. That's fire. Yeah, it's definitely tough to enjoy things when you're in a content creation mindset. Like we had talked about it, me and my buddy Rad and my buddy Tino. Shout out T. We were gonna do we had this crazy documentary like vlog series that we were gonna do for baseball last year, which would have been dope because we ended up, obviously making it to the tournament and everything, the championship, and we ended up just like we go or whatever. We were down on it from the start, and we were gonna start it game one, and game one started, and none of us filmed anything because it was just like you got to be where your feet are, especially like with sports and just with everything. Like it just doesn't work out that way sometimes. For the people that are able to do that, God bless them. But for me personally, like I truly just want to enjoy where I'm being, and I don't want to have to worry about throwing up a camera in my face and telling everybody, whatever 700, 200 people what I'm doing. Like I don't enjoy that.
Yeah. I think it'll come eventually. Just we'll see. As long as we start the year off right. That's the biggest part, at least for me. I think just checking your boxes and just as long as you're in the right headspace, just keep moving forward. Trying to turn the stairs into a ladder. Just fucking right to the moon.
So on last throwback for you, last question for the past. This past year, what would you say your favorite photo shoot was this year, and why?
Harrison Phillips, Playmakers Camp at the stadium. As was expected, as was spoken into existence, on how much it means to me and how much it meant to me. Even I just did their Christmas event, and it's just like the most. I don't know. I was in such a bad mental health place, and I'm tired of like making it sound like my life was just a depressing hole, because unfortunately it was. And that was the only thing I looked forward to, because I'm sitting here dealing with things that are just bullshit, and just working with these kids who are just so happy and passionate just about just being there around people, and just happy and lovey, and just feeling loved is just, especially from them, like we take life for granted so much, and just to see kids, with developmental differences, just so happy knowing the struggles that they have, and the struggles that they're going to face, their whole entire life. And we take life for granted. Just being around those kids mentally is such a thing I look forward to, and I literally just got to do that at their Christmas event. And I always try to bring people around to just to have them embrace and be a part of it, because what it does for me, it would be wrong of me to not gift that just feeling of love and being overwhelmed to anybody. So that's always my favorite thing to do. I mean, if we were to look at it differently, on like what was my favorite picture or something, like in that type of context, not like, things, and like how I just broke that down, because obviously that's valuable to me. That's, I guess you can look at it as like more of a value thing. But favorite thing that I've done, I mean, I just like meeting good people and dope people, and just people who love each other. Like, doing surprise engagements is super dope. Just like the process, and just seeing like the passion that people have for each other is awesome. And I've done some pretty sick engagement shoots this year. But the engagement shoots I've done this year are probably my favorite. Um, but my favorite shoot going forward, my next shoot. That's the mentality I want to ride with.
I was gonna say, yeah, not a specific shoot, but that's got to be the mentality with it going into it. I like that.
My favorite shoot, looking back, I had to just browse through my Instagram, was my podcast with Eric Wood. 1,000%.
I thought
Thousand
that went
percent.
well. Yeah.
Like, I love Eric. I love everything about him. I've known him for years. Such a phenomenal human being, and he's still such a part of our community, which is incredible. The things that he still manages to do, being away from the game, and just that whole process was super dope. I think I talked a little bit on that podcast of the process of doing that podcast. We were going down to Nashville to see Luke Holmes in April, and I had a podcast set up with Keith Tobridge, who used to play for us, tight end, and had that locked in. And he ended up getting called into work, to where our schedules just didn't align. So I'm literally like getting in the car to drive down to Nashville. I don't remember. I think it was like 10 hours to get to Nashville. I couldn't tell you the exact days unless I looked, but we left a day earlier, and we were meeting our friends John and his girlfriend and their friends down there the following 2 days after we left. So we had left in the middle, well, probably 7 p.m. at night. And I'm just like, who do I know along this route to do a podcast? I literally have a car full of all my podcast stuff. And I'm just like, I was already going to Kentucky for Keith Tobridge. And I'm just like, Eric Wood lives in Kentucky. So I hit up Eric, and I'm just like, dude, super last minute. Like, I completely understand if you don't got time, but I'm literally driving down to Nashville and want to know if you want to do a pod. And he's like, I have such a busy schedule. He told me like a couple days that would work, and it was just like literally it had to be like this day for me to make it make sense for the things that we had going on, because we had a set schedule the whole time we were there. And he's like, listen, I got to shoot with State Farm in the morning. If you want to come over after this, I literally have an hour. So I'm just like super geeked up. I'm already so excited to go to Nashville. So I literally drove the whole way by myself, nonstop. I was with Chris, but Chris didn't drive. I was literally drove the whole way by myself. We get there. Podcast with Eric Wood was, I don't remember the time, but just in a perspective, I'll just try to throw out times just to put it on a schedule. So I think the podcast we had with Eric Wood was at noon, and I got into Kentucky quicker than I thought because I thought we'd stop, sleep, whatever. So we got into Kentucky, had to be 3 a.m. We pull into a hotel and it's like $89 a night online. So like we were gonna do that, and I only had cash, so we went in to try to pay, and they were trying to charge the hotel rate, which was triple the money. So I just like fuck it. We slept in the car in the parking lot. Literally woke up because the sun was bright in our eyes, and I'm like writing my notes down for this podcast, and like literally like couldn't like go take a shower or like get ready or anything. Like it was literally like we woke up, went to Waffle House, went to Starbucks, charged all my equipment, went to Eric Wood's house, rushed to hurry up and put this podcast together, and just had such a dope conversation. And my favorite part about that, I wouldn't say my favorite part, but it's just super dope because if you watch the podcast, you know, I don't like ever try to like credit myself for doing things well, but you know, like there was a part of the podcast that I put in the podcast which wasn't part of the podcast. I was like, hey, we're just having a conversation here. If you want to continue the podcast, go to 22 minutes. And he was like, you do really good with no notes. And I'm just like, thank you. But it's like also the reason I'm like that is like you never see me with notes. Only time I ever have my phone in my hand is when I'm reading off fans' questions in our Picasso segment. And it's just like, I don't have notes because I respect you enough to know you. Like I know what I want to ask you. I'm actually interested in what you have to tell me. You're not just a random person to me. I'm not just here to have a conversation with you and just bullshit. Like I care about you, and I care about, you know, your time and who you are as a person. My job is to show that to the world. Like of course I don't need notes because this is real. Like, and that like him letting me know that, like, and he obviously broke down like the value that I bring like doing my podcast, which was like it was good for me because you don't hear it, like you have people like, oh, you have so and so on your podcast, that's cool, bro. But like hearing it like from somebody like Eric Wood was super dope, and just like the way it all worked out, and so a lot of people probably, if you've watched the podcast, which a lot of people haven't, he uses my podcast for his speaking gigs that he travels around the United States to go to. Like he literally had me do an event at the convention center, and it was literally my podcast, like, which was sick because now he like uses my podcast for speaking gigs on the questions I asked him and how he broke them down. And it was just like so cool to just see like the value that I brought to somebody. That was probably my favorite thing that I've done this year.
That's dope. That's real work, man. Like that's not what I think I expected. A lot of other people expected, and I think we thought some photo was gonna pop up on the screen, and you was gonna be like, oh, I like this because of this, and then the other. But that's real stuff, man. And that sounds like it was a dope experience, and what you were able to build out of that is huge. You know what I mean? You didn't just let it end at the shoot, end at the podcast. Like you said, it spun into so many different things, a plethora of different experiences for people, and it shows just how many lives you've been able to touch just from getting told, hey, I got an hour. You know what I mean? That's a true mindset of make it happen and watch it work.
What did you think I was going to say?
If I had to pick a favorite Croom photo of the year, I mean, it's kind of biased. Every year I think it's the best photo you take, and it's the all blue uniform in front of the white backdrop with the Hilbert baseball uni on. I mean, to me, that's the best photo, but
did we do that this year?
I think we did it this year.
Or was it earlier?
No, we did. I don't know if we did one this year, actually. I might be.
What one was the video?
Oh, you did a video for me this year, which was dope because I still
have the hot chocolate stain on the turf that's no longer in here.
Are you serious?
Because Lee stole it.
That's funny. Yeah, so going into that shoot, it was, I kind of told you, like, I was like, hey, man, like, I might like this. That was really the first year I was getting good playing time. So and I told you that I was just like, I'm gonna like play this year. Like it's not gonna be like, oh, we'll go watch Manny maybe getting at bat. Like I was like, this could get real for me, man. So I remember we did that shoot, and I didn't want to post it yet. I was just like, I'm gonna sit on this and see how like the first few games goes. And that was when we were in spring training in Myrtle, and I ended up going nuts. Like we left Myrtle, and I was hitting like 405 or something, the shittiest 405 I've ever seen. Like I was a singles monster. It was crazy, but I remember just like having that content to be able to post and like stuff like that. It was so dope to me because like I shoot like jeez, that sounds terrible. I shoot a lot of people, but I'm always taking pictures and video of a lot of people, and to get in front of the camera sometimes it's cool. Like and to be able to see myself in that format, like it's something my parents were able to see and like they thought that was awesome and stuff. And
Yeah.
you always hook it up, but if I had to pick a favorite Croom photo of all time,
All time?
all
Okay.
time. And this is gonna be a hot take, but I just think it's the dopest thing because you won't know this is my favorite photo. Like if we had to choose one from this wall, you wouldn't know I would pick this one. But to me, the dopest photo you've ever taken has to be the Taiwan Jones photo because he's not wearing a visor or anything. You can see his true facial expression, and it's just like I don't know when I think of photos from you. That's the first photo I think of, and I know how much he was able to touch your life, and I got to meet him personally through you and see what type of guy he was, and he was just all around a great guy. So I think that photo to me is my favorite photo you've taken.
I'll post it on here. The funny thing about that photo is that's the first time I ever met Taiwan. That acknowledgement right there is like your Croom photos, and that is actually in Cleveland, Ohio, when I went there during the preseason to take pictures, and he's the only one who actually like started to fuck with me. Shout out Taiwan. Taiwan's like one of my good friends. Like probably the realest person I ever met. Still talk to him to this day. Very consistently. Funny motherfucker. But like so about his business. But that picture is funny because like that's like exactly what that facial expression is like your Croom photos.
I love that one. We had some fun shoots with him when I used to help you out.
Yeah.
Like when we did the snow one, when he had that snow suit
Yeah.
that he had to rock. I
All of
think
a sudden Manny's in the photo shoot.
yeah, like I was throwing snowballs at him or something.
Yeah.
He was just such a fun guy. Like it was when we went to go shoot for him when I would help you out, it felt like just fun. Like I was
Yeah.
excited, you know what I mean? Like there was a lot of shoots where we're frantic and we're like down the business, but with him it was just like what's up? Like you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like and he was super creative too in his own head. Like he was the one that was like, "Yo, throw a snowball at me." Like who asked that?
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like it was just he was a super good guy, and I think that makes me love the photo even more. Is just because I know the true connection that you guys had and what type of person he was. He was just an overall good guy.
Yeah. You know, my favorite videos and shoots are always the ones that just never see the light of day.
Why are those your favorite?
I don't know. Because I feel like they're passion projects.
They truly meant more to you than you think the client.
Well, they're not for you. They're like for the world.
Makes sense.
They're for you. And that's one thing, like, it sucked because that's one thing I definitely want to do this year as a passion project. Like, do like a year wrap up where it's just like all my dopest content somehow compilated into one video and it all looks seamless and it all looks like it's one thing. I see people do it all the time and they're so dope. But like I tried to start one in September. I'm not going to say like the vision I had for it because I think it'll be a very one of a kind thing. But just like life happens so fast. And the way that I wanted to document it, I started off doing it, but like it just I gave up on it just because I knew it was going to take a lot of time. And like it'd be see, I don't want to get too into it because I want someone to like try to do my thing. But you know, having the clear memory cards and just like, you know, there's some things I just don't back up because I don't need to. Like if I'm doing like a super simple quick photo shoot, I'm editing the pictures, giving them all the pictures. They give me the thumbs up. They're already on social media. I don't need to back it up, so I'll delete it. But a lot of those projects that I had were what I wanted for my passion project, my wrap up, my vision video. And I'm just like, oh, should I hurry up and drop these? And it's like, no, I can't. I have a photo shoot in 30 minutes. Like, I need the space. And then I end up just like deleting probably I don't know how long my wrap up video would have been. It probably would have been a reel of some sort. That's like the format that I started going with. But it's just like, oh, I stopped doing that. It's like, oh, well, I already got rid of like the 3 things I was going to add to it. So like, I'm not about to half ass it. So I want to really try to dial that in. But I need to really focus on that because that's got to be very important and it's got to be done correctly in order for me to have the content. That might be like number 2 back on that 5 list.
Going back to that.
For sure. And I'll probably take off the health thing. I'll just be fat next year. We'll worry about that in 2025.
That's what the next year is for.
And plus, Verdansk is coming back in 2025 too in Call of Duty. So it's like,
that's a big year.
I might as well just like worry about health then since I got nothing but time. What's one thing that you want to do this year that you think would simply just change the game for you?
I think for me, like the biggest thing this year is like, I think I've been very quiet in all aspects of my life as far as like photography and who I am as a person and with baseball especially. And I think this year is just a mindset of, I'm quietly working more. And I think that I'm just very excited to be able to kind of just shut people up, man. Like I feel like it's always been a thing of just like, oh, well, Manny. And I think this year it's just like it's more personal for me, that it's just like a mindset of, especially going into the season, like the new year for me for the past 4 years, new year has always meant new season, because the first thing that happens in January for me is practice, and I'm starting a new baseball season. So that's always been my way of just like kind of starting the year off right. And this year just feels a lot more personal, especially of how we ended our season last year. Like, it's just, I'm very excited to kind of go into this new chapter of my life of also playing kind of the upperclassman role now. Like, I'm looking after guys, you know what I mean? Like, I'm setting an example for guys, and I just can't wait to kind of get on that field. And I feel like that first at bat is just going to be a moment of relief as far as everything for my life, not just involved with baseball. Like, it shows me that just like, I've seen so many kids drop throughout the years from like sports, football, whatever. They play 2 years, 1 year in college. Like, I'm in year 4. You know what I mean? I've kept the grades straight. Not crazy, but I've kept the grades straight to play. I've stayed out of trouble, and I'm in year 4. And it's just like, my mindset with it is, you let me get this far, like, y'all fucked up. Like, now is when it's like it becomes personal, and now it's like,
you also
if you didn't know who I
don't got
was,
shit to lose either.
Yeah, and that's my mindset with it too. Is like, what happens if I bust my ass right now, right? And I'm working out and I'm hitting and everything, and I go out there and I fucking suck. What changes? You know what I mean? I'm still going to work. I'm still going to be on the team. We're still going to go win an AMCC championship. It's just I fucking suck. So it's just like, to me, it's just like, I'm going to fucking give everything I got and go out here and fucking Will Smith mentality, die on the treadmill. And if I fucking suck, then so be it. That's what was meant to be.
Yeah.
But guess what? If I don't, fucking lock the door, because it's over. Like, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's such a good mentality to have with everything. Like, I'm going to go at this photo shoot 110%. I'm going to be fucking dropping down, shooting and everything. And if the photos turn out like shit, well, fuck, Like, you can't not give 100%. Like, if I go in with this mentality of just like, you know what, I might play, I might be a good outfielder, then I'm going to have might at bats. You know what I mean? I'm going to be hitting and I might hit a single. Instead of just going in with the mentality of just like, listen, I'm going to go out here and fucking give it to you. And if it doesn't fucking work, then I'm going to come back tomorrow and figure out what the fuck I did wrong and try to do it again.
Yeah.
And you got to be insane, especially in our work and like with baseball. Like, you have to be mentally insane, because a good hitter in baseball is 2 for 3, 2 for 4. You're going to fuck up more than you get a hit. So it's just like, you got to go out there and just be like, fuck, I went 0 for 3 today, but you might go 3 for 3 tomorrow with 3 bombs. Yeah. You just got to keep doing it. You just got to be repetitive. And I feel like that follows us more into work than we know.
Yeah.
Like, you might take, from a realistic standpoint, both of us, if we take 1,500 photos, how many photos do you think the clients are getting?
Yeah, I mean,
they're not getting 1,500.
Yeah.
I mean, at least I can speak for me.
Yeah.
But like, they're not going to get every photo, because a lot of the photos we shoot, something might have been off here, but that's why we take so many photos, is so we can get people as much content as we can.
For sure. And we are a few days left in 2023. What are you gonna do with it?
Few days left in 2023. I think I'm just gonna enjoy it for what it is. This is the most comfortable I've been. Obviously, you know, I won't speak on it on here, but I've had some kind of like moving situations, like not groundbreaking, but mentally being able to move things around with what's been going on in my life. And I could say like I kind of sat there in the chair today waiting on you to leave D&B's and kind of just felt free. Like I kind of just felt like I'm in a really good spot going into 2024. Like my grades are straight. This is the best relationship I've kind of had with like my family and stuff. I'm surrounded by a very healthy group of people, and I'm just excited. Like I'm really excited. Like it's a good way to leave the year.
Yeah, New Year's is always New Year's and 4th of July, my favorite holidays. I don't know if New Year's is a holiday. It's not, but it's a celebration. I mean, I don't care how cliche it is, New Year, new me, whatever. I just love the bulletin board material that the New Year gives you. Like, it's a fresh reset. You also get to celebrate going into it, whether you won, you lost, you got your heart broken, you found love. You get to celebrate it and just embrace it, and also just leave it the fuck behind and have a fresh, clean 365, unless we have a leap year, to just start the fuck over and just, my thing, just check your boxes. You know, and if you start doing that thing, 2% better every day, you're going to have a great year.
100%. I love that 2%. 2% better.
Because it's attainable. It's not asking for a lot, you know. I mean, I use it very much in a sense from bodybuilding. It's like, okay, like I had a great workout. I had a great meal. Like, what can I do to maybe make my meals better for me if I have to take out 2 grams of fat of this to drop a couple calories to continue losing weight at this rate? Like, that's attainable. And, you know, it's easy to keep adding that 2%. It's not dramatic. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to try to be 10% better every day. You're going to run out of 10%, and you're going to run yourself dry. Just be logical and just keep at it. Don't give up. I mean, cliche is not give up, but once you actually don't give up, it's crazy where the fuck your mind will take you.
100%. It also shows, like, too, like, how much, like, 2% can build up, right? Like, if I'm getting 2% better each day in a week, I'm pretty fucking good. Yeah. You know what 14%. I mean? Like, it's just like it builds up instead of just saying, because like you see a lot of kids, you know, they'll work out 3 days a week. I'm gonna get 10% better every day. You worked out 3 days a week, you got 30% better this week, compared to the guy who's just like, you know what, every day I'm on a set schedule. I'm gonna go do this, that, and the other, and I'm getting 2% better every day. Yeah. This guy's doing shit, and he's seeing shit, and he's trying different things, because maybe that one thing that you thought was gonna get you better doesn't work, but you're only working out or focusing on your craft 3 days a week, and you're trying to give 10% this obnoxious goal. Mm-hmm. So now you find out that doesn't work, but that other guy already found out that didn't work 4 days ago, and he's moving. He's on to the next thing. It's like that. There's a song that I love, and my buddy Pat Whalen put me onto it. That's Life by Frank Sinatra. Mm-hmm. Go listen to it when you got a chance. It's kind of just it shows. Yeah, it shows like it's truly like that's what life is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can sit here like we talked about before. Like, if I fuck up, I fuck up. You know what I mean? If I suck, I suck. If this doesn't go well, then I could at least say I gave it my best shot. But that's how life is. You know, not everything has a fairy book ending, but I'm going to put myself in a position for it to happen.
Trial and error is like a phenomenal way to navigate, because that's when you figure out what works, what don't, and you have the reasoning behind it. You know. But I look forward to it. I look forward to seeing what you got going on. I look forward to doing it together. I look forward to being happy. That's what I look forward to, bro. Because I'm fucking happy right now, and I haven't been in a while. So that's one positive I'm going to bring into the new year with me. But other than that, bro, I appreciate you swinging by here, even though you've been here all fucking day.
Appreciate
just
you
kicking it, bro, and just shooting the shit, even though we have conversations like this on a day-to-day basis without cameras. But I figured I'd get you on here and just, you know, recap the year, even though we went so many different directions on this pod, but it doesn't matter. It's a kumbaya. It's just a conversation. But appreciate it. I need you to like, subscribe, and peace.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then I go off.